Marge Battle. Welcome to this week's edition of Education and Perspectives from Medgar Evers College of the City University of New York. I'm so excited today. I have a very special guest with me, and I know you'll recognize her once we introduce her. It's Ms. Iyanla Vanzant, the best-selling author of Acts of Faith, Daily Meditations for People of Color, In the Meantime, and One Day My Soul Just Opened Up, among other very important works that she has done. She's with us today, and we're going to be talking to her about her two new bestsellers and about some of the lectures that she's been doing around the country and just everything. So I hope you'll stay with us for Education and Perspectives today, because it promises to be a very enlightening and wonderful program. Good afternoon, Ms. Vanzant.
Good
I want to
afternoon.
thank you for joining me on
My
Education
pleasure.
and Perspectives. It's always fabulous to have you on the show because, in a sense, you're coming home.
Yeah.
Since Medgar Evers College is
Yes.
your alma mater.
Yes.
So we'd like to thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule to chat with us a little bit today on Education and Perspectives.
That always makes you seem so important when people say you're very busy schedule.
Yes, it does. Now, two new books
Yes.
that hit the stands in January of this year. Book sales, I understand, are just flourishing.
Yes.
And I want to talk with you a little bit about both of your books, but let's start with In the Meantime, Finding Yourself and the Love You Want.
Yeah.
As I was reading this book, it occurred to me that you said a lot of things in this book that I think a lot of sisters and probably brothers were saying to themselves, I've been thinking that, I just didn't have the words.
Right.
She put my thoughts into words.
Right.
How did you come up with the concept of In the Meantime, Finding Yourself and the Love You Want? And tell us a little bit about what's contained in this book and what is your prescription for finding yourself and the love you want?
Wow, that's a lot.
I know.
Well, the meantime, I think, is a state that most of us find ourselves in when things are not as bad as they were, but they're not as good as we want them to be. When we're not quite sure if where we are is where we want to be, and we don't know how to get out of where we are, and not really sure where we're going. It's like a state of anxiety sometimes, confusion. Nothing's really bad, but something is not as good as you want it. That's the meantime.
You know what it made me think of? In the old days when there were kings and queens, the queen used to have ladies in waiting.
Yes.
And I always said to myself, I wonder what the ladies are waiting for.
Right,
So
right.
in the meantime,
We're
it's
waiting.
that period in your life when you're waiting.
Yes.
For everything to unfold.
That's
and all
right.
your dreams to come true and the love of your life to come into your life.
Right.
And all of those kinds of things.
Well, and also it's a time that we usually get very impatient. It's a time that we feel that we're not doing the right thing or we didn't do the right thing. And what I'm saying is when things are not moving exactly as you would like them to be, to spend some time with yourself. Spend some time on yourself. Find yourself. And once you do that, everything that you're looking for will come to you automatically. But what happens is we have a tendency to get busy, trying to make things happen, trying to force things happen, to settle for less than we want because we're not sure what's coming around. I talk about in the meantime about why the road curves. You know, if you were standing in New York and you wanted to drive to Washington, you couldn't see all the way because there are places where the road curves. And the road curves because we can only handle so much at a time. So in the meantime, do what you can do. You can build a better relationship with yourself. You can get clearer about your goals. You can clean up some stuff. We all have stuff that needs to be cleaned up, whether it's the house.
Right, you talk about that in the meantime, cleaning house.
Right, cleaning house, that's right.
Going on up to the third floor.
And that house being yourself. There are habits, attitudes, behaviors that you have that are no longer useful. Get rid of that, just like the old stuff that you leave laying around in the basement. There are ideas and perspectives that are no longer productive. Clean it up, get rid of that. There are fears and doubts and angers and hurts that you're still holding on to. Get rid of that. Find the real you, which is love. The thing that we have to understand in the meantime is what we are looking for, we are actually looking with. But so many of us think we're looking for something, not realizing that whatever is in our heart and our mind while we're looking is what we're going to find. So what you're looking for, you're really looking with. So if you really want a better relationship, a better job, a better career, a better home, a better life, you've got to look with a consciousness and a concept of exactly what that is for you. not what other people have told you.
It's kind of like that last line in The Wizard of Oz, isn't it?
Yes.
You go all around the world and all out of your neighborhood and everywhere looking for the thing that you think you want the most, and it's already in your backyard.
That's right.
But what you're asking people to do is some very minute introspective work on themselves.
Yes.
And that's always very difficult.
Oh, well.
How do you even get started on reevaluating yourself and getting rid of the old things that are inside so that you can come forth as a new person and maybe attract some good things into your life?
Well, I think the first and a critical issue, and probably the most difficult issue, is to really tell the truth about who you are,
Hard again.
about what you want, about what you've been doing that keeps you from getting what you want, about where you're going. Some of us have a vision of it in our mind, but we won't articulate it because we're afraid that we're not equipped. We're afraid that somebody can stop us from getting it. Tell the truth about who you are, where you're going, what you want, what you've done in the past that has kept you from getting it. The next step after truth is willingness. What are you willing to do? What are you not willing to do? Some of us are not willing to do the work required to bring into our lives the things that we want. You got to be clear about that, because unless you're clear, you're going to blame other people for you not having it. And it's really about your willingness.
And a lot of us would much rather blame other people for the things that go wrong in our lives than look within ourselves for the answers.
Well, when you've got a dirty basement, you blame other people.
Yeah, why'd they put all that trash down there?
Right.
Now I have to move
That's
it
right.
out.
I have to move it. Look what they did, and look what I've gotten, you know, my first cousin's third daughter's child by my second cousin's friend. All their clothes and furniture down in the basement, you know? So we've got to clean up. We've got to clean up. We've got to tell the truth. We've got to look at our level and degree of willingness. We have to develop what a friend of mine taught me was zero botherability. That we have to be willing not to be bothered by what other people are doing, and we have to not let what we're doing become a bother to anyone else. Just get clear and move forward.
So interesting to hear you say not be bothered by what anyone else is doing, because we're constantly in other people's business.
In the meantime, we
what
spend
they're doing
time.
and what they're saying is just of so much interest to us.
And when our life isn't going the way we want it to go, in the meantime, we try to fix other people's lives. We get busy in their lives, in their relationships. You don't have no business in somebody else's relationship. You don't have any business in somebody else's finances. You don't have any business in somebody else's relationship with their supervisor. In the meantime, while that friend is having a problem, mind your own business. Take care of your own stuff. Clean up your own fear, your own doubt. Assist and support people in ways that they ask you to. If they don't ask you to, then you have nothing to do, so take care of yourself.
I sometimes think that people use that as a distraction. When you're in other people's business, you don't have to deal with your own stuff.
Absolutely. If I don't look at me because I'm looking at you, then I won't see what I need to do.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, let's move on and talk a little bit about One Day My Soul Just Opened Up.
Yeah.
40 days and 40 nights towards spiritual strength and personal growth.
40 days is a process. It is not a book. It's in a book form. But one of the things that I discovered after writing 5 books on personal growth and spiritual development, from the letters that I was receiving from people, I said, they're not getting it. They're not getting it. They know the words, they know the lingos, they know the prayers and the hymns, they can rub the crystals on their head, they can do the yoga, but they're not getting it. They're not integrating it into the life. They're still in panic. And when panic sets in, vision is obscured. When desperation sets in, faith disappears. So One Day My Soul Just Opened Up is a 40-day process where you get the opportunity to integrate spiritual principles into your everyday living. There are 40 different principles. It can take you 40 days to do them all, 40 weeks to do one. You pick your own method.
Any significance to the choosing of the 40?
Well, 40 is a very mystical number. 40 is the number required to lay a new foundation. 4 representing the 4 cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west, and the 4 basic elements of life, air, water, fire, and earth. 0 being the alpha and the omega, the creator, the beginning and the end of life. So when we talk about 40, we're talking about laying a new foundation. We know that Moses went to the mountain and stayed 40 days. We know Noah was on the ark for 40 days. We know Jesus was tempted for 40 days. So 40 is how we lay a new foundation. So many of us start on our spiritual journey or our personal growth and development, and we do it 5 minutes, 3 times a week for 2 weeks, and we get upset when there is no change. And we have to realize that you have to do it long enough, persistently enough, consistently enough to re-indoctrinate your entire body, not just your mouth or your mind. You've got to get the energy into your feet, into your arms, into your legs. You've got to make it an entire process. If you're dieting, you're not going to lose weight in 7 days. Maybe a pound here, a pound there. It has to be a long process. If you're going to stop smoking, you've got to do it over time, even with our spiritual growth and development. So I chose 40 days and 40 nights, 40 principles that you can integrate into your life. Tell the truth, one whole entire day. And if you have trouble, do it again. And do it again until you're comfortable telling the absolute truth as you know it at the time.
That means stripping away all of our facades.
Oh, yeah.
And seeing ourselves as we truly are.
Removing the veil, taking off the mask, and standing up to be who we are. I think one of the major challenges many of us face in this society is the fear of letting people see who we really are. Fear that if they see who we are, it's not going to be good enough. Or if they see who we are, they will judge us. We judge ourselves, and then we think everyone else is going to judge us the same way. So when we learn how to integrate spiritual principles into our life, one of the principles is acceptance. Accept who you are. If your teeth are in a cup, accept that. If your hair is on the bedpost, accept that, you know. If you have to wear underwire bra, accept that. It's okay. But you've got to be okay with it in you, because until you get okay with it, nobody else is going to be okay with it.
Absolutely. I think we spend a great deal of our life trying to please other people.
Right.
And we have this public persona that we project out there, hoping that the public persona will become the real. And it's not. It's really just a public persona that we create because we don't want people to see who we really are.
And I'm going to give us a little way out, too. We're kind of conditioned that way. You can sit at the kitchen table one way, but you can't sit like that on the sofa. How you sit at home is not how you sit in school. What you do in school is not what you do at church. What you do at church is not what you do at work. What you wear to school, you don't wear to church. What you wear to church, you don't wear around the house, you know? So we have these little compartments about what to do, how to speak, where to go. You know, it's okay to say certain things around certain people, and it's not okay. So we're programmed to be schizophrenics. We are garden variety neurotics, just based on the way that we're trained, and it's perfectly acceptable. I think a classic case right now is the president. This is a human being with frailties and weaknesses. We knew that when he went into office, but we didn't want to see it. We turned our face. No, Jennifer Flowers, you're lying. We know you're not telling the truth. Now here it is in our face again, and we won't look at it. He is a man. He is a human being. How many of us, your audience looking right now, doesn't have stuff that they need to clean up, things that they need to work on, things that they are addicted to, behaviors that are inappropriate? Do we think that because he's the president of the United States, we have to hold him to a different standard? He's a human being.
Right.
He is a human being. And if we would take away this whole mystification of because you rise to this level, you have to behave this way, the man probably eats a little tippy part on the chicken wing just like you and I. And it's okay that the president eats the tip on the chicken wing.
Absolutely, it's okay.
Without a knife and a fork.
That's one of the best parts of the chicken wing, I'm telling you. Now, one day my soul just opened up. In order to get started on your 40-day spiritual diet,
yes,
or your 40-day transformation, what's the first thing that you have to do?
Be willing and make a commitment. You've got to make a commitment with yourself. I tell people to make a covenant with themselves, knowing that I'm going to do this and I'm making a commitment to do it for me. Not for any other reason, not because it's going to give me whiter teeth or fresher breath, not because I'm going to get a raise on my job, but because I am making a commitment to myself. Willingness to make a commitment and honor that commitment and carry it through for the 40 days. I don't care if you work on one principle for 40 days, but make the commitment and be willing to honor the commitment.
Absolutely. Now, you're relatively sure that if people follow the prescription, something will happen.
Something will happen.
Mm-hmm. How are people able to recognize that something is happening. You have to be open to the change.
Yes, and you'll find that you can't do what you used to do. That, for me, is the key. Things that you used to be comfortable with, you're no longer going to be able to stay in that position.
But why is that?
Because change has taken place.
It's like the old has washed away, and all things have become new again.
Yes, yes. You know, you may find yourself talking a little quieter. You may find yourself not getting so upset with people. You may find yourself really having the courage to say what you need to say, to ask for what you want. You may find that conditions and situations which were once perfectly acceptable are no longer acceptable, and that you are willing to take the steps to change them or remove yourself from the environment. Something has to happen. And I always say that if you take one step, spirit will take two.
Now, it all began for you with tapping the power within.
Yeah.
A few years ago, and then from there, it was acts of faith, daily meditations for people of color. And I understand that quite a few people have purchased daily meditations, and in fact, they have been reading the affirmations every single day, and it has helped a lot of lives. What is your sense of whether or not these books that you have written are accomplishing what you set out to do with them?
My job was to write them. My job was to write them. And I think that your students are ordained for you. So once I wrote the book and put it out there, the book then takes on its own divine purpose. So if one person reads it, you know, it doesn't have to be 8 million people. If one person gets something out of it, then my life, my job is done. My job is done.
5 books in a relatively short period of time.
7. 7.
A relatively short period of time.
Yeah.
What's next for Iyanla Vanzant?
Well, right now, I'm really dedicating my time, my energy, my resources to Literacy Volunteers of America. I'm a spokesperson for Shiflin and Somerset, and they are sponsors and backers for this year's literacy program. When we consider that 40 million African-American adults in this country cannot read. They can't read one day, my soul just opened up, or in the meantime. They can't read the ingredients on a can of food, or instructions on medication, or a story, a bedtime story to their children. I think that we all have to become conscious that we can do something. We need literacy programs in our community. We need literacy volunteers who look like us. If it's a Haitian immigrant learning literacy, he needs to learn it from a Haitian immigrant or a Haitian citizen who can speak English. If it's a Latin immigrant learning English, they need to learn it from a Latin citizen who speaks English. Literacy programs are critical. There's lots of money for reading is fundamental for children, but very little money or resources or programs for adults. So I'm raising the consciousness. I want people to join me and Shiflin and Somerset to become volunteers, to make cash contributions, to join in a reading program so that we can make sure, because there's no way that we as a community or we as a people can get to our freedom if everybody can't read the map.
Absolutely. I certainly do agree with you, and I'm going to become a literacy volunteer.
Good.
I just want to mention one last thing because we're about to run out of time. The Women's Center at Medgar Evers College is sponsoring a National Day of Healing, which will be coming up in September. But prior to that, we'll start with a kickoff in March 21st at Prospect Park, and it'll be a day of walk for healing for women. Do you endorse that concept at all?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, not that I think, I do know that women's time has come. And this is a time for women to find their tongues, to step into their power, to open their hearts so that we can fulfill our divine purpose. We have accepted conditions and situations that have nothing to do with the divineness in us. And as women heal, because we are the mothers, the first teacher, as women heal themselves, the entire universe will be healed.
Absolutely. It's been fabulous chatting with you. As usual, the time has just run away from us.
I know.
I wish we could chat all day.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate your being on Education and Perspectives today, and I hope you will come back.
Anytime.
Oh, excellent.
Hotep, greetings. Tonight I have the honor of introducing a sister who really needs no introduction. The majority of us are here because her work has touched our lives in some way. But I'm going to introduce her because that's what I'm here to do. And at the end, I'm going to share with you how this remarkable sister has touched my life. Iyanla Vanzant is a sister who, to paraphrase her own words, lives what she writes. A survivor in every sense of the word, Sister Vanzant has struggled through surmountable odds. As a single parent and welfare recipient, to become a minister, lawyer, motivational speaker, and best-selling author. To her credit are the books Acts of Faith, which has sold more than 1 million copies, and most recently, In the Meantime, and One Day My Soul Just Opened Up. Her work focuses on personal and spiritual growth and development, addressing the universal need of all people, regardless of race or religion, to attain and give true unconditional love. I'm a new member of the Medgar Evers family, as Sister Sophia has told you, having moved from Baton Rouge, Louisiana only last August. And when I arrived at Medgar Evers College, someone told me that Sister Vanzant was a Met graduate. Well, I knew I was in the right place when I heard that. But more than that, her books helped me to make the trek from Baton Rouge to Brooklyn. As a single parent myself with 2 wonderful young girls, I was scared to death to leave what was familiar, but excruciatingly unchallenging. I was holding on to this familiarity with all 10 fingernails. It was safe, and I was scared to death of failing, of uprooting my innocent family to an environment where we knew virtually no one. I was fearful I would lose the control that I thought I had when I was in Louisiana. And in the midst of all this self-doubt and fear, everything I ever read by this sister rushed at me and tackled me breathless. And guess what I did? I took the leap. I took the leap of faith. Faith in my ability, faith in the possibilities that would unfold, faith in the divine order at work. And here I am. And it's truly an honor for me to present to you tonight best-selling author and Yoruba High Priestess, Sister Iyanla Vanzant.
I have a terrible cold, so actually I have a wonderful cold. So I need as much energy as I can get. So I need you to give me as much as you would want me to give you this evening. I've been on the road since the 8th of January, and this is it. So I am so glad to see y'all, because that means tomorrow. I want to ask, if you will, please, to just turn around and look at a sister or brother. Look at your neighbor. Behind you, next to you, make eye contact with somebody. And I want you to repeat after me and say, neighbor, neighbor. Oh, neighbor. Oh, neighbor. I see something in your eye. I see something in your eye. Now answer your neighbor by saying, neighbor, neighbor. Oh, neighbor. Oh, neighbor. It's the beauty of you. Now give your neighbor a hug so that we can get some energy moving in the room. Yeah. Yeah. Am I okay here? No, because then I have to bend down. Yes, you know, so often we come into a room. Oh, they having their little hug fest over there. Go on now. Hug people. Of course, Martha Bright would still be hugging people. Now, she got to come hug me, so I have to bend down, bend my knee. All right, I accept. We come in a room with one another, breathe in the same air, and don't even look around to see who's behind you until today. Make sure that when you come into a room with other people where you're going to be breathing air and sharing life force, that you look around to see whose life you are sharing and what's around you, because the resource that you need may be sitting right behind you or right next to you. So we want to make sure that we do that. I want to ask you, if you will now, to just reach out and take your neighbor's hand. If you're sitting next to a neighbor, if nobody's next to you, reach behind you or across from you or wherever you can go. And all together, I want us to just take a deep breath in and let that go. And if we can take another one and let it out with a nice ah. Now I want to ask you to disconnect your brain. That means close your eyes. Nothing for you to see. Let's turn within for a moment. And if you could take another nice deep breath in and let that out with a nice and really feel the hand of the person you're holding. Feel that life and allow that energy to flow through you. And to realize that you're not alone here on this planet, on this walk, on this journey, that you are connected to the flow of life. This is the first time, either as a student or an alumnus of Medgar Evers, I first walked through the doors of Medgar Evers in 1978. And this is the first time in 20 years that I've come into this building when Dr. Betty Shabazz wasn't present here, on her way here, or having just left here. So I just want to give honor to that and her spirit in this place and all that she contributed to my life, to my growth, to my energy, right here in Medgar Evers College. Let's take a deep breath together. Let it out with a nice ah. Holy Spirit, fall fresh on us today. Fall fresh on our hearts, on our minds. Fall fresh in this room today. Fall fresh on those who have come here in pain, in confusion. Fall fresh on those who have come here with silent prayers in their heart that they haven't had the courage to speak. Holy Spirit, fall fresh on us today. For you know our needs even before we ask. You know that some are in this room not knowing where the next meal is coming from. Some are in this room making a mighty, mighty sacrifice just to be here in this place today. Holy Spirit, fall fresh on someone today that they may know that they are not alone, that they don't have to do it by themselves, that you can make a way out of no way. Fall fresh on someone today and awaken the genius that lies dormant in their DNA. For we know that you did not send us here without the exact equipment we need to make it through this journey. Holy Spirit, fall fresh on us today because some of us have forgotten how divine we are. Some of us are in places and mindsets and conditions that we have long outgrown, but we don't know what step to take next. Holy Spirit, fall fresh on us today. Fall fresh on our path that it may be illumined. Fall fresh on our minds and our consciousness that they may be enlightened. Fall fresh on our hearts that they may be healed and opened to the goodness that is you. Fall fresh on us today. These things we ask, acknowledging and recognizing that it is by your power that we are here today. We know that this day was ordained before the ends of the earth were formed, that this is a divine and a holy appointment we are keeping today. Let your perfect plan unfold in this room today. Let your perfect plan unfold in every heart and mind in this room today. Some of us don't know why we're here. Some of us didn't want to come here. Some of us ran to get here, and it was all according to your perfect plan. Have your perfect way today. Have your perfect way today. And may we emerge from this room with the insight and the information that we need to live your holy and divine purpose in our lives. For we know that millions didn't make it to today. Millions of our sisters didn't make it to today. So if we are here, there is a plan and a purpose for us, and for this we are so very grateful. Let us take a deep breath. Let it out with a nice ah. And another one. Let it out with a nice Just give your neighbor a little squeeze, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes.